Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Dharyll from Bad State University. So I'm here and to answer some activities from chapter 6 in Net Acad. So without further ado, let's get started. So we're going to answer the first activity, which entitled IP characteristics. So it shows here the IP characteristic will adjust the size of the packet set depending on what type of network access will it be used. Uh, so I think it will fall under media independent. So next is IP characteristic is no contact is made with the destination host before sending a packet. So connection is it will fall under connectionless. Next is IP characteristic is will send a packet even the destination host is not able to receive it. Um, so it will fall under connectionless still. So yes, it is correct. So the next IP characteristic is packet delivery is not guaranteed. So it will fall under best effort. Next characteristic is does not guarantee the packet will be delivered fully without errors. So it will fall under best effort. And the next is fiber optic cabling, satellites, and wireless can all be used to, to route the same packet. So it will fall in the delivery method media independent. So that's it for the activity 1, and now that we managed to answer it correctly, we'll proceed to the next activity. So in the next activity, we're going to read each IP v4 header function and then click the IPv4 header field to which it belongs, just like from the earlier activity that we did. So next is here is the header functions. Identifies the priority of each packet. So I think it will fall in differentiated service. Next function is identifies the upper layer protocols to be used next. So upper layer it will fall under protocol fields. So the next header functions is commonly referred to as hop count. So this will fall under header field time to live. So next functions is identify the IP address of the following sending host. So this will fall under source IP address. So next is header. The next header function is always set to 0100 for IP address. So it will fall under the version. And lastly, identifies the IP address of the recipient host, which will be in the destination IP address. So in the second activity, we managed all to answer all of it correctly. So let's now proceed to the next activity. So the next activity, which is titled header fields, the instruction here says read each IP version v6 header description and then click the IPv6 header field to which it belongs. So it is just like the other uh, activities that we answered. The difference is it is an IPv6 header field. So let's started answering this activity. So the first header descriptions is to suggest that all packets receive the same type of handling by IPv6 routers. So it will fall under the header fields flow label. Next is header description. Next classifies packets for congestion control, which falls under traffic class. Next is header description. The next header description is always set to 011 0. So it will, just like from the other activity, it will fall under the version. The next is when this value reach 0, the sender is notified that the packet was not delivered. So this will fall hop limit. Then next header description is identifies the application type to the upper layer protocol. So it will fall under next header. And lastly, identifies the size of the data portion of the packets, which will fall in the header fields, which is payload length. So now that we managed to answer correctly all of the activities in the third, so we'll go proceed to the next activity, which is the entitled activity identify elements of router table entry. So the instructions here is a partial routing table table entry is shown. Each section of entry is identified by a circled letter above it. Select the correct routing table entry section for each output. So let's start answering this activity. First, the elapsed time since the network was discovered. So the answer here is letter E. Next is the administrative distance source and metric to reach the remote network. So this will, the answer in this no is will be letter C. Next is how the network was learned by the router. So I believe that the answer here is letter A. Next is shows the destination network. The one that the show destination network is letter B. Next is the next hop IP address to reach the remote networks. So the answer here should be letter B. And lastly, the outgoing interface on the router to reach the destination network. And it will fall under the gigabit internet, which is letter F. I hope I got it correctly, all of the answers. So let's go check it. And there you have it. I managed to answer all of the questions here and their corresponding elements of routing table entry. So, so we are done here in this activity, and we'll proceed to the another activity. So in our next activity, which entitles descriptions of router functions and hardware parts. So the instructions in this activity is to description of router functions and hardware parts are provided in the table. Drag each router component names to its function slash description. So first we're going to read the description and identify the hardware parts or the router functions in the choices. So first is the uh, connects router to external networks, usually over a large distance. So this is a one interface. Next is a way to remotely access the CLI across a network interface. So to remotely access the CLI across a network interface, it should be Telnet or SSH. Next description is connects computers, switches, and routers for internal networking. So to be able to connect computer switches and routers for internal networking, it should be LAN interface. So next question, description rather, a local port which uses USB or low speed serial connection to manage network devices. So in order to uh, manage the network devices with a serial connection and USB or low speed, it should be a console port. And lastly, a port to manage routers using telephone lines and modems. So I hope that I got all the correct answers to each every description and I match. So in order to know, let's go check the answers. And now that we manage answer all of the description and we correctly drag it, then let's proceed to next activity, which is the last activity that we're going to do is the router boots process. So the instructions here in this activity is drag each of the steps on the left to appropriate field in the table, on the right to show the router boot process order. So what we're going to here is we're just going to drag the steps on the left to appropriate field in the table on the right to show the router boot process order. So we're just going to properly arrange or in order the process. So the step one should be perform perform a post hardware check performed by built-in ROM chip. Before I continue in answering this activity, you will know that if your answer is wrong, if it will not fit with the space. For example, our answer, the step 1 will be, if you put it to step 2, it will not go attach here because it is wrong. So that is a way to know if your answer is wrong. So let's continue. Next is the step 2, which you need to load boot bootstrap, and next is our step 3 is load the iOS, and then lastly load the configuration file from flash, NVRAM, a TFT server, or go into the setup mode to create a configuration file. So since that all of the answers are attached and properly ordered, now we are done in our last activity, and that's it for this video. So if you learn if this video helped you to for more better understanding in chapter 6, and please subscribe and hit the like and the bell button, and that's it. And I hope you will